They lit up our screens when we were young, and we never imagined they'd change. From the leather jacket of Fonzie to the magic of Genie's bottle, from the terrifying calm of an android to the wisdom of a wizard, these were the faces that defined our generation. But time doesn't skip anyone, not even Hollywood's brightest stars. Today, some are silver-haired and softened by age. Others have stepped quietly out of the spotlight, choosing peace over fame. And a few have found redemption after years of struggle. Get ready, because you truly won't recognize these stars anymore. Lance Henriksen, the face that haunted our nightmares. For an entire generation of moviegoers, Lance Henriksen was the man who made science fiction terrifying and unforgettable. As the android bishop in James Cameron's Aliens, he brought a strange humanity to a machine, becoming one of the most beloved characters in the franchise. Before that, he'd already carved out a reputation playing tough, weathered men in films like The Terminator, where he appeared as a detective alongside Arnold Schwarzenegger. Television audiences later welcomed him into their living rooms every week as the brooding profiler Frank Black on Millennium. Now, in his 80s, Henriksen looks nothing like the steely-eyed action star we remember from the 1980s and 90s. His hair has turned silver white, his face carries the deep lines of a long life well lived, and the intensity that once made him so frightening on screen has softened into something warmer and more grandfatherly. Friends and colleagues describe him as remarkably humble, still showing up to fan conventions where devoted admirers line up for hours just to shake his hand. Henriksen has never fully retired. He continues to take on smaller film and voice roles, staying connected to the industry that made him a household name. Off-screen, he's known for his passion for pottery and sculpture, a quiet, creative outlet far removed from the chaos of alien invasions and killer robots. Barbara Eden, our beloved Genie, has grown wiser with time. For millions of Americans who grew up in the 1960s, Barbara Eden will forever be remembered as Genie, the enchanting genie in the pink harem outfit who captured hearts every week on I Dream of Jeannie. Her sparkling eyes, playful charm, and that unforgettable blink brought magic into living rooms across the country. Before that role made her a household name, she had already appeared in films alongside legends like Elvis Presley, proving she was more than just a pretty face, she was a genuine talent. Now, in her 90s, Eden looks remarkably different from the youthful star we remember. Yet there's something wonderful about seeing her today. Her hair remains styled with the same elegance she always carried, though now silver instead of that iconic dark shade. Her smile, however, hasn't changed a bit. It's the same warm, genuine smile that made audiences fall in love with her decades ago. Remarkably, Eden has never fully stepped away from the spotlight. She continues to make public appearances, attend charity events, and speak fondly about her career whenever fans ask. She's spoken openly about the importance of staying active and positive, crediting her longevity to a life filled with gratitude rather than regret. She often shares stories about her castmates and the golden era of television with the same enthusiasm she had all those years ago. Seeing Barbara Eden today isn't sad at all. It's a heartwarming reminder that the icons of our youth aged gracefully alongside us, carrying their magic into their golden years. Ian McKellen from Gandalf to golden years, a legend still standing tall. For fans who came of age watching epic fantasy come to life, Ian McKellen will always be remembered as Gandalf the Grey, the wise wizard who guided Frodo through Middle-earth in the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Long before that role made him a global icon, McKellen had already built a formidable reputation on the British stage, earning acclaim as one of the finest Shakespearean actors of his generation. He later brought gravitas to the X-Men films as Magneto, proving his range extended far beyond fantasy. Now in his late 80s, McKellen looks quite different from the commanding wizard audiences remember. His once dark beard has turned entirely silver, his frame has grown slighter with age, and he moves more carefully than he once did. Yet his eyes still carry that same sharp intelligence and warmth that made him so captivating on screen. Despite his age, he hasn't slowed down nearly as much as one might expect. McKellen continues to work steadily, taking on stage productions and film roles that challenge him creatively. He's been remarkably open about the physical realities of aging in show business, even joking publicly about needing extra support during demanding performances. Off-screen, he remains a passionate advocate, having spent decades supporting causes close to his heart, with the same conviction he brings to his acting. Watching Ian McKellen today, still commanding a room with quiet authority, feels like watching an old friend prove that true artistry and dignity only deepen with time. Jane Alexander, the dignified star who never stopped growing. For those who came of age in the 1970s, Jane Alexander was a face synonymous with quality, thoughtful filmmaking. Audiences fell for her powerful performance in The Great White Hope, which earned her an Academy Award nomination and launched a career built on substance over glamour. She went on to captivate viewers in beloved classics like All the President's Men and Kramer vs. Kramer, and many still remember her moving portrayal of Eleanor Roosevelt in the acclaimed miniseries Eleanor and Franklin. Beyond acting, she made history as chair of the National Endowment for the Arts, proving her devotion to the arts went far beyond the screen. Now in her late 80s, Alexander has traded Hollywood glamour for a quieter, more reflective chapter of life. Her once dark hair has long since turned silver, and her face carries the gentle lines of a woman who has lived a full and meaningful life. Widowed after the loss of her husband, director Edwin Sharon, she has embraced a life centered on family writing and mentorship. Remarkably, Alexander hasn't fully stepped away from acting. She continues to take on select film and stage roles that speak to her, recently appearing in independent projects that showcase her enduring talent. She spends much of her time writing and passing along wisdom to younger performers who admire her decades of dedication to craft. Seeing Jane Alexander today still graceful and engaged with the world reminds us that a life well lived only grows richer with time, proof that true elegance never fades. Charlie Sheen, from wild child to wise elder, a Hollywood redemption story. For a generation who grew up watching him on the big screen, Charlie Sheen was the charismatic star who defined the 1980s and 90s. He captivated audiences in Platoon, Wall Street, and the comedy classics Major League and Hot Shots, before becoming a television powerhouse as the mischievous Charlie Harper on 2.5 Men, one of the most watched sitcoms of its era. Off-screen, however, his headline-making struggles with addiction and scandal often overshadowed his talent, making him one of Hollywood's most talked-about cautionary tales. Now turning 60, Sheen looks like a different man, entirely calmer, healthier, and remarkably at peace. He has reflected that he has more days behind him than ahead and says he's fine with that. Physically, he's aged the way most men his age do, though he's joked that he's avoided the typical bad back or knees dealing instead with just a bad shoulder. Most notably, he has maintained sobriety for the past 8 years, a milestone he once thought impossible. Sheen has used this new chapter to be transparent about his past. He released a memoir titled The Book of Sheen and a 2-part Netflix documentary called AKA Charlie Sheen, both offering an unfiltered look at his rise, fall, and slow rebuild. He's spoken about repairing relationships with former castmates and prioritizing his role as a father to his children. Veronica Hamill, the elegant star who chose privacy over the spotlight. For fans who tuned in every week in the early 1980s, Veronica Hamill will always be remembered as Joyce Davenport, the sharp and sophisticated public defender on the groundbreaking police drama Hill Street Blues. Her performance earned her 5 Emmy Award nominations and made her one of television's most respected leading ladies during the show's celebrated run. Before finding fame on the small screen, Hamill had already built a career as a successful fashion model discovered by legendary agent Eileen Ford, which gave her the poise and presence that later defined her acting career. Now in her early 80s, Hamill looks quite different from the striking brunette audiences fell in love with decades ago, though details about her appearance today remain something of a mystery. That's because Hamill made a deliberate choice many stars don't. She stepped away from acting and now lives a quiet, retired life, largely out of the public eye. The biography. Unlike many of her contemporaries, Hamill rarely gives interviews or makes public appearances anymore, choosing instead to protect her privacy after decades in the spotlight. She is believed to currently reside in Los Angeles, California, living far removed from the fame that once made her a household name. Her classic work continues to generate residuals and keep her legacy alive, even as she herself remains largely unseen. Henry Winkler, the Fonz who never stopped cool. For anyone who grew up in the 1970s, Henry Winkler will forever be remembered as Arthur Fonzie Fonzarelli, the leather-jacketed thumbs-up-giving heartthrob of Happy Days, who became one of the most iconic characters in television history. His effortless cool made him a household name and a cultural touchstone for an entire generation. Decades later, he reintroduced himself to audiences as the bumbling lawyer Barry Zuckerkorn in Arrested Development, and most impressively earned his first Emmy Award at age 72 for his role as acting teacher Gene Cousineau in the HBO comedy Barry. Now 80 years old, Winkler looks nothing like the dark-haired heartthrob from decades past, yet he remains remarkably active and full of life. His hair has turned completely white, but his warmth and famous smile remain unmistakably his own. Retirement is nowhere in his plans, and he continues working steadily, recently hosting a new series exploring surprising and dangerous moments throughout American history. Beyond acting, Winkler has become a beloved advocate, openly discussing his personal experience with dyslexia and co-writing children's books to help young readers facing similar challenges. His passion for storytelling and connecting with audiences hasn't diminished with age. He was even honored as a commencement speaker, inspiring a new generation with lessons from his own remarkable journey. For an entire generation that came of age in the 1980s, Ally Sheedy will always be remembered as the quiet, soulful center of a defining era in American cinema. Her portrayal of Allison Reynolds in The Breakfast Club gave voice to the awkward, watchful side of adolescence, the kids who didn't fit neatly into any clique, who observed more than they spoke, and who carried a strange, private rebellion just beneath the surface. That single performance cemented her place among Hollywood's most talked-about young stars of the decade, alongside fellow Brat Pack members like Emilio Estevez, Judd Nelson, Molly Ringwald, and Demi Moore. The label itself was somewhat unwelcome to many of the actors it described, but it also guaranteed them a permanent spot in pop culture history. Sheedy's talent, however, was never confined to a single kind of role. That same banner year of 1985 also saw her charm audiences in St. Elmo's Fire, playing one of a tight-knit group of recent college graduates struggling to figure out adulthood. And she had already proven 2 years earlier that she could hold her own in a completely different genre, the Cold War techno-thriller War Games, where her performance helped ground a film about nuclear near-catastrophe in real human stakes. Taken together, these roles showed a young actress who could pivot between vulnerability, wit, and intensity, a range that many of her teen drama contemporaries were never given the chance to display. Now in her early 60s, Sheedy looks worlds away from the fresh-faced ingenue moviegoers fell for in the mid-1980s. But rather than fading quietly from public life as so many child and teen stars of that era did, she has spent the decades since building something arguably more interesting than her original fame, a career defined by reinvention, depth, and staying power. Her performance in the 1998 independent film High Art, a far darker, more adult role than anything audiences had seen from her before, earned her the Independent Spirit Award for Best Female Lead, a clear signal that her abilities as an actress had only deepened with age and experience. It remains one of the most acclaimed performances of her career, and one that many critics point to as proof she was never merely a product of 1980s nostalgia. In more recent years, Sheedy has split her time between the screen and the classroom, building a genuinely rare kind of second act. From 2022 to 2023, she took on a prominent recurring role in the freeform comedy drama Single Drunk Female, which premiered in January 2022 and ran for 2 seasons before ending in 2023. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos. See you in the next one.